Hello and welcome back to the Fierce Kittens channel. Apologies for not having my beautiful face on the camera today, but I am under the weather and I didn't want to subject you to that. No one wants to see that. So one of the things I ran into recently was trying to make a crossbody bag, such as this one here, and running into a problem where if I use tabs on either end, the opening was really small, which is not such a big deal for a bag like this. This is just a little change purse, not a big deal. Wristlets are usually designed with a larger opening. But to have a bag that was rectangular in shape like this and have it still be functional without having a good portion of the zipper cut to the point where it doesn't work, I decided to research a way to make my zipper extended. I've seen this on a lot of the little like Disney Loungefly crossbodies. So that's where I got the idea from and started looking at them. The general idea is that the zipper, instead of being capped and on the inside of the seam allowance, is actually tapered off and left hanging outside on the exterior of the bag. So what you end up with is having just about full use of the opening of your bag, and you can slip pretty much anything in there. So I love this. I do think this looks a little annoying, but honestly, to have full use of the bag and to make it so that it opens all the way means a lot more for a bag like this. Like it's a deeper bag, right? If it were wider, I wouldn't worry about it. But since it's deeper, then that's definitely a consideration that needs to be made. So before anybody asks, this is my pattern. It's basically like, it's basically just one rectangle. So I was going to release it, and then I saw how similar it was to the Cellmate and decided let's not do that. So instead what I'll probably do is release something for free if my community hits St. Jude goals. So I will eventually release this, but it will not be for charge. Because I mean, usually if a bag is like too close to something else, I'm like, yeah, let's not do that. So let's go into how this works. I'm gonna move this off to the side and bring over my work. Now here's the funny thing is I actually recorded this, but I recorded it with the wrong microphone. So let's start over again. Let's pretend this didn't happen. All right, so you're gonna take your zipper, and the zipper is basically just capped on one end like normal. Only the ends here are raw on either end there because they're going to get caught in a seam allowance. However, this will not be caught in a seam allowance. This is a 2-inch by 3-inch piece of vinyl that I have folded in half multiple ways so that I end up with all raw ends toward the middle. Then I took a piece of leather tape and I put it on the end. Now I fold in the ribbon here for the zipper, just so it makes a nice little tapered look. I mean, it does look pretty nifty that way. So that means that the zipper head is not going to go flying off anywhere. It's very safe. So what I do is I take the zipper, let's see, about, if we put it, well here, we're going to do this first. We're going to take the exterior fabric for the other side because I'm so SMRT. We're going to lay it on the zipper. Open up your zipper a little ways just to get the zipper head out of the way. That'll make it easier on you in a bit, and I'll explain that why when we're at the machine. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over so I can actually see the zipper. I apologize for black fabric. I know sometimes it does not appear well on camera, but I do so with a lot of black fabrics. Now, before you go all the way to the end, you're going to line up the edge of your fabric, and you're going to mark a 1-inch mark at the zipper. We're going to go ahead and we're going to place a clip right there at that 1-inch mark. So what you'll be doing is when you go to the sewing machine, you will hold this away from the edge, but only from this point, this 1-inch mark, and you'll taper it. But you don't want to taper it so much that you end up with a fold. You want to taper it such that it's a nice, smooth transition. And then when you sew across, it tapers it off and you can continue sewing. And you hold it downward toward your fabric and away from the edge so that it will end up on the exterior of the bag. If you fold it up this way, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because that's not where your stitching is going to be. So pull it away from your edge and away from your stitching. So let's go over to the sewing machine and I will show you how this is done. I'm going to use a basting stitch, so a longer stitch length for this portion, and that's because normally when I attach the zipper the first time to the exterior fabric, I'm just doing it to kind of set the zipper in place. Then I put the lining on top, and that's my permanent stitch. For this one, it's just to set it kind of in its place. So I'm going to take the zipper tape and I'm going to slide it out of the way, and I'm going to stitch just within my seam allowance. And for this teeny little bag, it's just going to be 1/4 inch. Now, if you find yourself slipping away too much, you can use a stiletto. You can also use your finger. I really don't advise that you use your finger just like for safety reasons, but you can. But I use a little stiletto to kind of hold it in place and just stitch and see how it tapered in. You can stitch the rest of the way. Now, when the zipper head gets in the way, I just put my foot down. I put my needle halfway down, and then I lift the foot and reach under and slide the zipper out of the way. So then you don't get that really rude looking bump in the stitching as you go try to work yourself around that zipper head. And then you just sew like normal all the way down the end. And that's a basting stitch, and that'll get that in place. But just so you can see, there's the line of stitching, and then here's where it tapers into stitching the zipper tape. And so the zipper will hang freely outside of the edge, just like it does on this other end here. So let's go back to the cutting table and put the lining on top. So now we're back over here at the cutting table. You can see everything is nicely tapered off. And we're going to take the lining piece and we're going to put it right side down, sandwiching everything else. This is from the other side of the zipper. And I'm going to start clipping off from the right side here, since I don't have to worry about anything being kind of shoved out of the way over there. And same thing, I'm going to take this and transfer that 1 inch marking right here to the top, just so I can kind of keep an eye on, okay, this is when I can release the zipper. I don't have to worry about the zipper being out of the way. Another thing you could do, honestly, if you want to, now that it's kind of pinned in here, it's sewn down, you could, if you like, put a clip in there to hold it out of the way. I would like you to learn how to actually hold it out of the way, though. So we're not going to do that. We're going to do this the hard way. Okay. So put a clip right up to that point. It looks like I'm got a little overzealous. I think I'm a little off center. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I like making mistakes all the time. Oh, yeah. Yay for YouTube recording 1 sec. Okay. So now we'll go back to the machine and we're going to do this again, but now with a real stitch length and our real seam allowance. Okay, I'm dialing in my real stitch length, which for me is 3.5 millimeters. I'm going to hold the zipper tail down and away from the top edge that I'm sewing on, and 1/4 inch seam allowance. I get that, like this. Aw. Why are you doing this to me while I'm recording? Hello. God, so rude. Anyway, that was embarrassing. Just let it go. So now I'm going to stitch. We're going to stitch 1/4 inch seam allowance. That's just because it's my tiny little purse. So now the zipper head is right here. So again, needle halfway down, lift the foot, spend an hour going up underneath and move the zipper head out of the way, and then stitch the rest of the way, just like normal, until you get to the zipper head. then needle halfway down, foot up, pull it out of the way. Technically, I think I could have swung it off to the back, but I do like to teach that technique when I can because it's very applicable to pretty much any time you sew with a zipper. Now on this end, I'm going all the way to the end because this is the one with the normal cap and the zipper's not swung out from that side. I'll clip all of that. And now, when I hold this open, you can see that I have these ends completely wide open. Now for this one, I feel like I went a little too far, so I'll probably go back on my own time and kind of close that gap a bit because that's a little too big, but still demonstrates the issue. So technique rather. So now let's go back to the cutting table and I'll show you how to keep this naughty little thread tail out of the way while you're trying to sandwich everything and finish the bag. So now you have the zipper attached and you can see it is flung out like this. And usually what you do with a zipper pouch is you'll take your right sides and you'll put them together and your linings right side together like that with the zipper in the middle. And typically you'll just sew like straight through either end. But with this technique, you don't want to do this with the zipper tail hanging out. What you need to do is tuck the zipper tail interior like that so it can't get caught in the seam allowance as you go over and kind of seal in this end. These raw edges here are taken care of, but you got to keep the zipper out of the way. So one thing I like to do is to take a pen and pin it down so that it can't accidentally just flop in there and you're not spending a lot of time trying to figure out how you are going to keep it out of the way like an unruly toddler going for some chocolate chip cookies. So we put it in timeout with a pen because otherwise it's just going to naturally try to flop outward because of the nature of the acrylic used for the teeth on the zipper. So that's a technique there. Yay, pens. So yeah, just keep it out of the way. And then once you're done sewing everything together, let me bring this over. That is when you'll have this final bag and you can open it all the way and you can put pretty much anything your heart desires into that bag without having to like lose half of your hand or break a thumb in order to squeeze in there. So, yay, I hope that helped you guys. Thank you so much.